I'm here to talk about the very specific reasons that Indiana might be the best choice for you. I'm Lindsay Vallandigham with the Symphony Group at Keller Williams Louisville East. We serve the greater Louisville market as well as Southern Indiana. Let's talk about some of the very specific reasons that someone might choose to buy a home in Indiana. A lot of them are financial. Let's check off a really big one here first. We made a video very recently about the school system in Jefferson County in greater Louisville. A lot of folks choose to live in Indiana because the school districts in Indiana are a lot smaller, a lot more traditional, where you live in the neighborhood and attend the school that is most convenient and closest to your home. We have great school districts in Floyd County and in Clark County, and a lot of homeowners ultimately choose to live in Indiana to get into those smaller, more neighborhood feel school districts. Outside of schools, though, there are a lot of financial reasons that it makes sense to buy a home in Indiana. First and foremost, the value of property in Indiana is simply slightly lower, meaning the price per square foot to build a home in Indiana is slightly less than the price per square foot to build a home in Kentucky. And so you're starting from a basis of a price point that is a little bit lower. But in addition to that, there are also a lot of other expenses that are lower in Indiana. First and foremost, we're going to talk about property taxes. Indiana offers a homestead exemption and a supplemental homestead exemption that can reduce the taxable value of your property by about 40%. Instead of paying taxes on your entire $200,000 home, you would instead just pay 60% of that value. So instead, you pay taxes on a value of $120,000 on your $200,000 home. There's a lot of intricacies to how that maths. So at the end of the day, what you're taxed on is less, and it can save you hundreds of dollars a year. Up next, we're going to talk about occupational tax. This is the tax you pay to where you work. Now, if you live and work in Indiana, you don't pay any occupational tax because Indiana doesn't have an occupational tax. But even if you live in Indiana and you work across the river in Jefferson County, Kentucky, you're going to pay those metro taxes to Jefferson County, but Indiana actually offers you a credit against what you paid to the state of Kentucky. So at the end of the day, you're kind of getting a credit back from the state of Indiana for what you paid to the state of Kentucky, and you end up saving money on those occupational tax costs versus what you would have paid if you both lived and worked in Jefferson County, Kentucky. Next up, let's talk about insurance. Your homeowner's insurance is typically about $200 to $400 less per year for an identical home in Southern Indiana than it would be in Jefferson County, Kentucky. That's due to lower risk factors in the environment, less dense population, and frankly, just a more competitive environment for Indiana insurance brokerages. Automobile insurance is also lower in Indiana than it is in Kentucky, typically about 10 to 20%, frankly, just due to less traffic, fewer accidents, and therefore less litigation in the market. And finally, when it comes to insurance, there are far fewer floodplain areas in Southern Indiana than there are in Jefferson County. The land is a little bit more elevated, and we just don't see those claims. And if you have questions about flood insurance, we just made a video about that a few weeks back, so make sure you check that out to really dive deep into those flood insurance expenses. And then last but not least, of course, are the utility expenses. Utility costs are simply lower in Southern Indiana. So all told, you can save hundreds and hundreds of dollars when you combine the savings in your property taxes, in the value of the home in the first place, in your insurance costs, and in your utility costs. All of those things are going to amount to hundreds and hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands of dollars in savings every single year from living in Indiana. And the counterpoint to this, what I hear from clients all the time is, I don't want to pay those bridge expenses. And it's true. We have two bridges, Interstate 65, north and south from Kentucky to Indiana, and Interstate 265, which is our beltway around Metro Louisville. And both of those bridges do have a required toll. It's like $2.68 at this moment in time when I'm recording this to cross the bridge. So if you're crossing the bridge every day for work and a few times on the weekends for fun, you could spend anywhere from $120 to $140 a month in bridge tolls. It's definitely something to consider, but again, I still am a firm believer that the hundreds and hundreds of dollars that you save by choosing to live in Indiana can actually be a net savings over the course of a year's time, even if you have to commute to Louisville on a regular basis. And obviously, it makes more and more and more sense if you're only commuting part-time, if you have a work from home opportunity that allows you to only commute to Louisville a couple of times a week. That savings can really, really add up. So if you are curious about what it means to live in Indiana and work in Kentucky, by all means, reach out to us at the Symphony Group at symphonyrealtygroup@gmail.com.